Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Final Fantasy TCGU Study Hall, where we sit here and talk about all our cool Final Fantasy topics that you guys send in and we come up with ourselves. I am Noah, today visited by
James
and
Byron.
I'm visiting the entire 10 feet to get to my basement.
Exactly.
No, you live somewhere else now. Sorry, bro.
No, he lives somewhere else. I live here.
So
you moved
we got to get our housekeeping out of the way as usual, guys. We would just like to... Sorry, let me get this straight. We would like to tell you guys to go ahead and support us on Patreon if possible at TCG or patreon.com/TCG University. We'd like to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. We've got Addie, Andrew Dang, Anthony, is it
Albano.
Albano? I'm going to apologize for butchering names. Bryce Rathsack, Chris Miner, Clay Cardwell.
Your family.
Shut up. Jay Rogers, Jared Hubbard, Jesse Morrison, John Stone, Justin Farst, Justin Hobbs, Kat Marina, Kevin Broberg, Kieran Vision,
Lucinda Letica.
You say this so many times and I can't get it. Lucinda Letica.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right.
How do I say that one?
Okamila.
Okamila?
Okamila.
Okamila.
Yeah, trust me.
All right, got you. Paul Casagrande, Ransom MacArthur, Peyton Kiker, Samantha Stevens, the baddest bitch around, Sean O'Brien, Teodor Ruiz, and Tyler Zanpies.
If you want to be correct, there's Ruiz.
Ruiz.
But, you know,
Ruiz.
that's just Hispanic.
Got you. Make sure you guys go ahead and sub at youtube.com/TCG University. If you want to find any other platforms you can view us on, we're on Spotify and iTunes and Twitch as well. In there. All right, guys. Let's break in the first topic. First topic.
How are you guys today?
Right.
The first topic is welcome back. It's been like 2 weeks.
Actually, it's been a lot longer, but okay.
It's been a bit. So, Byron, how's the life?
It's all right. Our zoo grew.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, it grew.
Oh, good.
We added 2 leopard geckos in my son's room for his birthday.
Sweet.
When was his birthday?
Yesterday.
Happy birthday.
I got a little worried when he started that sentence with leopard. It's like,
I wish.
He's actually building the zoo now.
Yeah,
he's working up the stock.
Yeah, no, he got 2 little leopard geckos for his birthday, so that's really cool.
He's been making some trades.
Yeah, dude, upgrades.
You're trading with other zoos. I'll give you my 2 chicks if you give me this full-grown leopard.
I'll eventually have a lion. It's okay.
Eventually. What about you?
And then I'll be able to trade that lion. I'll get like 2 small cats.
Elephants, bro.
How are you good? Nope. James, how are you doing?
I'm good.
How's life been going in general? Pretty rocking.
It's hot outside.
It is.
It's hot outside.
God. It's
I
terrible.
wish it was not as hot outside.
I mean,
but I don't go outside, so I guess it's not my problem. But like,
it's hot. I don't have to worry about it. That's. I
walk to work. That's about it. It's hot to walk to work. When I walk to work at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's like 80 degrees outside. I'm like,
you wear a beanie walking to work
and a sweatshirt.
100%, dude.
So you're trying to just burn yourself up.
Oh yeah, definitely. I walk home in the beanie and the sweatshirt too.
For sure.
It's actually nicer.
Should be cooler by that point.
It's actually easier to do that just because like it blocks the sun. Like blocking the sun's more important
Just carry
towards
an
that point of
umbrella.
the day.
There's a reason for it.
But then I have to hold the umbrella the entire time.
You can just let it
Get the
rest on
hat
your
umbrella.
shoulder.
Oh, you're right. I can just get like an apparatus. I'll get like one of them like those dad hats you see, which are just like they attach to the top of your head as an umbrella.
Yeah, exactly. A hat umbrella. I've been doing pretty good. We talked about it in the. I don't care about you either. We talked about it in the pre-show. I finally went to a local. Turk's deck actually did pretty okay. Made one play mistake and lost to Travis. All that fun stuff.
You know, the mistake was he played Fanford.
Well,
Did you get 3rd place or 4th?
I got 2nd.
You actually got 2nd? Okay.
Yeah, we got 2nd because the bye rule is really weird.
Yeah, it's sometimes weird just with the fact that like if you lose to 1st place in the final round, sometimes you end up getting like 3rd. So I was just curious.
It is. There were only
That
like
definitely
7
does happen
people,
a
so
lot.
I think the only way I squeaked in 2nd was because there were like 7 people.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough to like go off of.
Or like the 3rd and 4th place weren't like super close competing.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, so moving in, we've got the cool thing about this game is that you draw 2 after first turn player draws their 1, compared to other card games where you draw like 1 card a turn.
Or 7.
Okay,
Depends.
excluding UFS where you can essentially become a 9-hander.
Yeah.
What other games can you draw a bunch of cards in?
Not many.
White Sports, you technically draw 3.
I mean,
You draw 1, ditch 1, draw 2.
till you're about to die.
You draw 1, burn yourself for 1, draw
Yeah.
2.
You kill yourself.
But like this game just naturally says draw 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
The mulligan rule isn't too bad either. I mean, it's bottom deck your hand and draw back up.
Yeah, and that's like the good thing about that rule. Just
I
'cause-
almost think it should be shuffle, but that's just me.
I mean, I think shuffling would be fine. I like the bottom deck aspect.
Like, I mean, draw cards then shuffle. The way like UFS does theirs, only because
Yeah.
you can order that bottom 5 in any order you want, and if you never search your deck, you know what that bottom 5 is. It's like it's such weird information that almost you never get to. But if you ever do get to that, and you're a
It
very
matters.
good player, that really matters. Like, if the direction of this game goes to this point, I know I'm not going to want these 2, so they'll stay at the bottom, and this one's the most important.
Yeah.
But see, if your deck doesn't shuffle, then your deck is just bad.
Yeah, you kind of want to shuffle your deck around with this game because there are so many cards that just say bottom deck your whatever else you see.
Or you could just play a Fanfrit Viking deck and just draw all the cards in your deck.
If I could play 40 Vikings, I would. All right.
They wouldn't look
Well,
the same.
not
though. That's
40
the issue.
Vikings, because you have to have some room for other cards.
Yeah, 10 Fanfrits.
I don't like you anymore.
What about Porums?
Up
You need
and out.
Porums. Pick up more Fanfrits.
No, it's fine.
It's fine. I play Vikings.
Yeah.
Just draw enough as is.
How are you going to pay to play the Vikings?
More Vikings.
You got to play the 4-drop that says play Viking.
Layla plays a Viking.
You're right. My bad. I'll play
To get
three.
the-
I'll,
to
three
get
I'll play 3 Laylas. My bad.
You might as well play Porum then at that point if you're giving it away.
Uh,
But yeah, so we draw.
It's a good target for Fanfrit.
Not wrong. So we draw 2 with this game, as opposed to drawing 1.
Yeah.
Byron, how do you think that helps the game out?
I think it's
Or more so, like how do you feel about the draw 2 as opposed to draw 1?
I definitely like draw 2, especially in a game like Final Fantasy, just because your hand is a resource, and that's like the biggest thing. Like, I know we've said this a lot of times in podcasts before, that your hand is a resource in this game. So the fact that you're drawing 2 cards, it makes it easier to not just lose advantage with your hand.
Yeah.
For sure. Like one of the other cool parts is like your 1 extra card. Like you can draw 2 cards in a turn, have no cards, nothing on board, and you could still play something just because it's just like ditch 1, play a 2-drop. Like it for it's basic. Just play 1 card for free a turn if you're able to. Just drop play. Like it just gives you that playability.
I think that is probably the most important thing because like you have like 2 or 7 CP set throughout that says on play ditch 2. So if you pitch like the only 2 cards you have in your hand, your next turn you'll be able to draw 2, and you might have something to play with or something to hold in to save up just in
And
case.
then like saving it's 4 CP in hand,
Yeah.
which is nuts too. Like not spending anything is just crazy.
I think it's actually very important that they decide to have you draw 2 because your hand is a resource, as you stated. I think it allows the game to progress, and you don't just have those turns where
Yeah.
you're like, I'm gonna draw 1 and just pass.
And that's exactly what I was just gonna say. That it does just kind of keeps the game going compared to some games. Don't want to really like talk about much other games, but like Yu-Gi-Oh, you know, even though that game is just pretty fast in general, like if you draw 1 card, you know, you might not see what you need to just hopefully get back into the game. Unlike Final Fantasy, if you're seeing 2 cards, so you do have a chance of drawing something that will help you out in some way, hopefully.
It also does help. Final Fantasy has a max hand card size at the end of your turn. You pitch
Yeah,
down
exactly.
To, is it
It does
5?
Yeah.
You do pitch down to 5. That's what I thought.
It makes it to where you're not getting punished for not deciding to play your cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you know, if you're gonna have to pitch them, you might as well play something in the process. Sure, you might like lose an extra card and go down to 4 instead of 5, but it's usually worth it in the end.
Yeah, for sure.
I think. I mean, draw 1 balances out a lot of other games, but yeah, this game definitely needs the extra draw. Because you want to see more cards, and the game doesn't. I can't say it doesn't have a lot of draw mechanics in it. It depends on the elements you decide to play, but not every element has solid draw.
No, that's true.
Do you guys think that because of the draw 2, it like pushes for more aggressive or more defensive play because of the fact that you only have a max 5 hand size? So whenever you draw your 2 at the start of your turn, you're pretty much drawing half of your max hand size. And so you have to. Do you think it promotes more aggressive or more defensive style play?
I would, in my opinion, I think it might be more defensive, just because the fact that you're getting more cards in hand gives you a better opportunity to kind of stabilize your game state, and it's going to allow you to actually accumulate those backups to be able to actually play bigger stuff later on. So I think it's more defensive in my opinion.
I was gonna say it's like aggressively defensive.
Yeah, I can see
Like
that.
it aggressively says, next turn I could play something bigger if I decide not to do anything. And then like people who want to play faster, it's just like, I have 2 extra cards in hand. Dip.
Yeah.
Like it lets you do
Yeah.
both. But I think it pushes more towards the defensive side just because like 4 CP allows you to drop a lot of things. It's like
It also does help because game ends when you can't draw any more cards, right? It's that turn after you draw cards.
So
Game's
like
over.
I think if you have like 1 card left in deck and you need to draw 2, like I think
That's
you
it,
just
yeah.
lose.
Because you can't draw
You
what
can't
is
draw both.
what is mandatory to draw the
Yeah.
2. So that does speed up the game a bit more. It creates a faster clock than most games do, because every card game when you play with a deck and you're like decking out is a lose condition, which it usually is always a race against time with your deck and with whatever timer you have going on for your round. And I think the draw 2 speeds it up a lot more.
22 turns.
Yeah.
I mean, that also makes sense too, because like you have a 30-minute time limit for rounds in Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
and it's just best of 1. So
Yeah, it is.
You get a max of 22 turns though.
Yeah.
So theoretically, like, you shouldn't deck out unless you're playing. If you're going off the 22 max, you can probably half that and you should be fine.
And that's not taking damage and
Yeah.
not adding or drawing any extra cards.
Add the 7 damage in to the 22 turns and you lose.
If you had 6, if you had the 7 to lose.
Yeah.
So 6, 11, so it puts you at 39. So you get a total of 19 turns.
Yeah. So it's a lot shorter than you would think.
Yeah.
And you're never going to. I mean, you can, but you're not going to go a game without damage consistently.
And then like not drawing or adding cards either. Like most decks have I'll play this 4-drop search a dude, or I'll play this thing, Viking. Oh, cool. Woo!
Again,
Draw an
helps-
extra card.
helps advance the game state a lot, though. Because there's always something you're doing every turn because you're able to see that extra card to pay for it.
And most of the better decks have that having like an engine that advances their game state a lot.
Yep. So draw 2. Worth it? Or should
Yeah.
we go to draw 3? No, I'm just kidding.
No.
Draw
What if
3,
we-
games busted, turn
if you're
wins.
able to cycle your game, if your deck allows your deck to cycle and essentially refresh, then yeah, draw 3 is fine.
But that's never.
No.
That's not a thing. Well, so
What was
just
graceful charity?
dipping off just a bit. We thought that it was like that with I hate you.
Draw 3, ditch 2. That's what you did at the start of your turn. Draw 3, ditch 2.
We thought it was like that with Dragon Ball, where you milling is just an auto lose condition, and then it just printed a new leader that says you don't actually lose to milling. So if you really wanted to, you can play a Stonewall deck and just hold out your opponent until they milled out.
Why would
If
they
you
do
really
that? Why
wanted
would they
to.
do that?
It's so
Do they have that much of a problem with Jaminba? Fucking
no, they just have a deck that says burst 5, draw a card.
dang.
That's why.
Because of the draw 2 existing as like a mechanic that everybody has access to, do you think that opens up your deck building for less search, less draw cards, and more ability cards, since you are naturally just seeing more cards every turn?
I say it does, actually. You draw that extra 2. You don't have to put too many searchers or too many draw engines in unless your deck mandates that you have more cards to play bigger dudes as soon as possible. That's my opinion.
Yeah, yes and no, I think. I don't know. I think that honestly, I don't know. I'm stumped.
You're stumped? All right,
Stumped.
James, we're on to you then. We'll come back to Byron. He's stumped.
Restate the question. So that way I make sure I give a good answer.
So,
Okay. Were you
we're
listening?
gonna try to reinstate this as best as Tam did, but it's not gonna come that well. So with the added draw 2, do you think it allows your deck to play more ability based cards instead of so many searchers and cards that just draw you a lot because you don't
So
you get that
things
extra
things
draw to
like
see something.
drop same name, play card.
Yeah.
Play dude, play ability.
So things like Aldo that says on play search for a dude.
Yeah, because I know what all
Maybe
does.
you don't need to play. It says search for a lightning forward. It says instead of that, you just get to like draw cards and you can potentially see
Yeah.
what you need instead. It's a thin to win mentality, personally.
Please don't do that. That's how we get in Dragon Ball territory.
Oh, that's right. I mean, it is, but there. I mean, that's how my Turks deck plays. It's
I
thin to
mean,
win.
like you just thin your deck, pick up.
Yeah, because the guys that I can't search out, I just draw.
It's
into.
kind of what his deck does too. thin your deck down as much as possible to get all the cool pieces, so you can play Fanfred as much as you want.
I don't like you.
What happens?
Stop playing Fanfred.
I won't have it.
I won't have until they ban the
I will
card.
always have a deck that's built that has Fanfred in it. Okay.
Plays Ice just has Fanfred.
It does.
I don't know about giving like abilities, but being able to play more. I want to say yes and no, because like there's an advantage to if you have good abilities that you like in your characters that like do really good things. But from what I find most of the time is just like the abilities on most of the characters that have those abilities. It's just like, why would I want to give the 2 CP to do this? I could just play something else that does it. Fanfred does a job of a lot of those things for free. Like a lot of the guys. I'll ping something for 7. Why would I need to ping something? I don't need a board. Just blow everything up. Like, yeah. Like, why not just play Fanfred instead? Like, that should be the can we change the topic? Why not just play Fanfred?
Just play Fanfrid.
All our topics always end up being, why not play Fanfred, or why the hell play Fanfred?
It's fine.
Why is Viking not look? Why is Viking?
See,
so
there
good?
we go. We were missing that. We got to get that back in.
Gotta get that joke back in.
You got this now?
Yeah. So
Are you a tree and not a stump?
yeah,
All right, cool.
I finally grew.
He's a great oak.
Grew.
That's what this podcast is for. Growing.
Exactly. So I think that, I think you still want to play cards, obviously, that are going to search your deck out, because you're not always going to draw what you want.
Well, yeah, that's
Even
fair.
if you're drawing 2 cards, and yeah, it's a lot better than other games.
The odds.
Yeah,
are there.
it's still like you're not going to draw sometimes
The odds
into
are
what
also
you
not
want.
there.
Yeah,
The odds are there. The odds are not.
exactly. So that's why, like, if you play your searchers and you draw into it, then you know you're going to get the card that you do need for that situation. So.
I mean, yeah, it's not like we get rid of searches completely.
No, of course not.
But I don't think like you can make the argument you don't need to play as many.
Yeah.
Just because you get that extra draw. It also fun because I brought it up with the Sephiroth. It doesn't stop, but it doesn't let discard decks just run rampant. Because the ability to draw 2 and your opponent usually discards on their turn. So you still have cards that you can use on your turn. Unlike a few other games I know where like they can discard whenever they feel.
Yeah,
But Scale Toad.
Scale Toad's at the end of your turn. That's fair.
Yeah.
But by that point,
That's fair.
By that point,
I don't think Scale Toad's fair, in my
When
opinion.
Scale Toad's on the board, you do have to play around Scale Toad.
Because
But
it's unfair.
if you use backups that you've built by that time, you can just use those to tap and play one of your cards, and that other card doesn't get lost.
But at the same time, though, like if you're getting if your hand's getting discarded, like there's still those times where you're just not going to draw into what could get you out of the
That is fair,
situation.
yeah.
And then like the things you discard are the things you should have kept because you draw something that lets you play that.
Yeah.
Thing instead of the thing
It's
you're
always going to
holding.
be that, man, I should have kept this card instead type of
Yeah.
mentality. It comes up.
If your opponent's already like ahead in hand size, them discarding your hand is just going to cripple you even more.
Yeah.
Well, I do got to say, though, this game isn't one of those that hand size always wins.
For sure.
Like, it helps. It definitely does.
Oh, does it?
In terms of, like, summons and certain abilities. But,
Yeah.
like, games like Dragon Ball, hand size is, like, the main
And-
advantage
Yeah.
in that. It's
You
part
live
of-
or die by what's in your hand.
Yeah, you really do. Unless your deck is well equipped, like Boo, to play without a hand, you live or die by your hand. I think Final Fantasy doesn't need to necessarily live or die by the hand.
No, 100%.
It's all in board state, honestly. This is one of those games where I feel like the board state is what progresses you further, along with the ability to
It
draw
almost
and
reminds me a
keep
little
moving
bit.
on.
It almost reminds me a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! And the fact that it's like you gotta break my board,
Mhm.
kind of thing. You know,
It's
And
like
that's what Yu-Gi-Oh!
What am I
is.
allowed? What button am I allowed to push to where you won't push back?
Mhm.
What move am I making that doesn't give me retaliation? What can I get away with without overextending too far?
So shout outs to Tam for this analogy. It's like building a puzzle. Then they just have to break your puzzle.
Yeah.
Woo! Tam's Yu-Gi-Oh analogy. Woo!
Yep. I mean, I think it's a really good analogy.
No, yeah,
It's
I
useful
agree.
for a lot of games, and I think, especially in Final Fantasy, it's pretty useful because
Sometimes
I played against
board states are
Travis's
done.
decks where everything's a button that you can push and something happens. Oh, did I kill that Porum? Oh, he picked up a Fanfrit and killed my dudes. Like, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
Do I kill the Layla or the Viking? Let him draw a card to get rid of the issue. Like,
Yeah, like-
Yeah.
If you let him draw the card now, he won't draw one later. That might be good. It's one of those weird things.
Yeah, and that's like that situation is like if you have a way to discard that card that they're drawing, then even better.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. But moving on
Yep.
from so I think the draw 2 is really nice. It's needed in the game. It has to be there.
Yeah.
To
Makes it a little bit different.
necessitate for how the game plays. And then
For sure.
the interesting fact that this is one of the topics
I think it's
kind
the
of
thing that
wanted
makes
to
the
talk
game
about.
more balanced.
Yeah. One of the topics I wanted to talk about is the even and odds cost for cards. Because the game allows you to draw 2 cards, and because not every card is even, not every card is odd, do you think, I mean, obviously it depends on the deck, but generically, do you think it's better to play the even or odd numbered cards at a higher rate than vice versa?
So I would say that I would choose even just because the way that you want to start your game is not losing value.
Yep.
So if you're playing your even cards, like if you're playing a 2 CP cost backup, right?
Mhm.
You're only discarding 1 card for it. Now, there's also an argument for the other side too, that if you're playing a 3 CP backup, if it searches you a card, then it's fine. Then it doesn't matter that you're pitching 2 cards for 4 CP to play a 3 CP card because you're drawing a card. You're searching for a card to have in hand, so it's like you're playing a 2 CP costed card.
Like
So-
Rorik, for instance, that says if you have a Alon or Rain in your break, pick it up. So you just pitch one of them.
Yeah.
And it's essentially a 2 CP card.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I would definitely choose evens over odds, though.
I think it matters everywhere past 3. For evens and odds, everything past 3 it matters because like dropping 1 card to play your 1 backup is substantially really good on turn 1. Regardless, you lose that 1, but like you gain the 1 anyway, so like you'll have it next turn. But like, and then like a 3 you always want because like I'll just play my 1 backup and then it's just drop 1 card, tap my 1 dude, play a 3. But after you get past that, it's like, well, I either have to drop 2 cards, have enough on board to play this 5. 4 is okay just because it's like drop 2. 4 evens are always going to be better.
Yeah.
Unless it's 1 and 3. 1 and 3 are easy plays because it's just like 1 backup, 1 card, play dude. You don't have to end up going like math of like, do I drop 2 dudes, tap 3 things, drop 1 thing, tap? It's like what's the right number? And 3s are just like drop card, tap dude, do thing. Like you don't have to worry too much when you hit 1s and 3s. But as you get higher, 5s, 7s, or whatnot, you have to start thinking of like how many of these dudes, how many of my board do I tap? How many cards do I drop from hand? What's the right point here before I overextend too much? What do I need to play? Stuff like that.
You summed that up pretty well.
Yeah.
So here's the fun question with even and odds then. So like, obviously the higher cost of a card, usually the stronger the card is. Do you think it's worth? Because I think 5 personally for me is the max I would ever want to go, unless the card is like really worth playing.
That's the reason I wanted to take Shantoto out of my deck.
Yeah, I mean it's not
7's so hard.
Isn't it cheap though?
It's a 7 drop.
Oh no, you need a star symbol to make it cheaper. Is it the apricot or whatever? There's a certain card that makes that the 7 drop
Rampier.
Shantoto a bit cheaper.
Star Sybil gets cheaper by playing the 2 CP wind
I guess the star
backup.
symbol. Yeah, okay.
Rampier.
I didn't know if there was
Rampier's what
something that
makes
made
it cheaper.
Shantoto cheaper or not, but well, it makes
It's
the 9 drop cheaper.
Yeah,
But
you
that
play
one-
Rampier and you drop 9 drop for free.
Yeah, but yeah, like anything higher than 5 just seems. I mean, you have to net good value out of it, like 7 CP Sephiroth, for the amount of cards you're pitching or doling down to play it. Your opponent will lose 2 cards out of their hand.
Yeah.
They lose 2 potentially good cards that they were holding on to play for next turn.
That's what I was saying. It's just like anything higher than 3, you have to start doing like hard evaluations of like, what's the worth of it? What am I getting? What am I losing? Like for like Shantoto, the reason I don't like it is just like I have to either pitch 3 cards, tap a dude, tap 3, pitch 2 or whatever, play this thing and lose my board and their board. And then sometimes it's just like, well, they have a really good board of like 4 dudes, but I like my 3 dudes and I don't want to lose my 3 dudes. Somebody made a comment about it the other day on one of the videos.
Scrub.
Yeah, because I'm a scrub. I should have just played the Shantoto. I get it, but like I had 4 really cool dudes on board. I don't want to lose my 4 cool dudes.
They're gonna be gone anyways.
Yeah,
you-
probably.
you
You're
guys
playing
play one of them
Banfrit.
for free anyways, so
Yeah, but I have to have a board to do that.
I mean, you have to have backups to actually do it. It doesn't matter. She's cheaper. She's super cheap at that point.
And like he plays Fanfrit, so I probably should have just did it.
Yeah, you should have.
I mean, I got rid of your board anyways.
I know. I lost the game because I didn't play Shantoto.
You really did.
I know.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Free
It
wins.
happens. I lost with Shantoto, and I think the next day I took Shantoto out of my deck, and then we played again, and then we forced Shantoto back into my deck.
Yeah, we pushed Shantoto back in his deck.
I wasn't playing it,
It's
and I went
needed.
again and was like, oh, I would really wish I had changed it on this spot.
I mean, yeah, there's only so many things you can ping off the board until you need to slap that card down. Oh, I just had the thought though too, and now I hate this. So, with even in odd cards, for instance, my Turks deck plays a solid mix, I would say actually, because you have Tifa and Barrett. Obviously, the Cloud just lets me free play those dudes, but that's besides the point. Let's take the Cloud out. The usual turn 1 play, because if I'm going first, I draw 6 cards total. You're 5 plus the 1 you draw for turn. You play Rude, so you pitch 1, play 1. You're down to 4 cards. Rufus costs 4, so you're pitching 2 more to play him. Put you down to 1 card, and Rufus will pick 1 up, and you're at 2 cards in hand. So it's also the cards you play that net you the value, as we stated, like with work and stuff like that. You want to be able to assess. I mean, throw that word out there because you're the numbers guy over here.
I love numbers.
You want to be able to assess the risk reward of worth playing those cards, and if it comes down to it. I think the issue is that sometimes people will play like Yizmat, for instance. It's a great card, but after you slam it down, you're kind of vulnerable because that's like 9 CP to pay for. You have nothing else to do at that point. If they just decide that if they have a way to get Yizmat off board, you kind of just wasted the time. So,
But then again, you're also with playing Yizmat, like you're not gonna want to play it in a situation that you unnecessarily.
well, yeah, that's fair. That's true. But like, you never know as well if you're. I guess it's with every card you play. You never know if your opponent's gonna have the counter to it, and if they can afford the counter. It's just usually you don't. I wouldn't play the higher cost even or odd cards because they're just awkward at that point. Like, theoretically speaking, at the max hand size plus the backups you have 5 to 15 CP to pay. 5 cards in hand, 5 backups,
Yeah.
15 CP, which is cool. But like one of those
It's
cards
13.
is
It's like
13 because one of those cards won't count.
Yeah, one
because
of
you're
those
gonna end up playing one of those cards.
Yeah.
It just comes down to if it's all worth it. Because like a lot of people's backups do a lot of things. So doling your backups is a cost assessment as well as pitching cards from your hand. The draw 2 actually does help with playing out the even and odd.
and then like
all
you
cards,
also just can't account for like EX burst.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that's
EX
one of
burst
like
is
the biggest thing. Like that is such a big drawback on certain assessment turns. Is just like, oh cool, you hit Fanfrit. Ooh, good.
I love this as our example. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no,
I'm glad I brought
Fanfrit.
this all to everybody's attention.
Oh, cool. You hit Fanfrit, and you actually had nobody on board because I popped them all. My 2 dudes that were
lose a dude. Yeah,
yeah, these dudes I was swinging with, don't have those anymore.
right. It's bad. But yeah. So then, if you had to pick between what gets you the most value, you say even or odd?
Evens. 100%.
Evens.
Evens 100%.
Evens. Yeah,
Yeah. Even like I said, evens after 3.
that's fair.
Evens after 3 because like your 1 drops and 3 drops are cheap to play. You don't do so much asset.
And usually 3
Thoughts?
drops that you play do just net you value in the process.
Yeah.
Like,
They
there's a
net
lot
you
of
value
cards-
or do something small like it gives 1K to everything.
It's like Travis plays Clavat. Clavat says it's a 3 CP water backup that says on play mill till you hit an ice card or fire card. So you still net a card back. Which I think the game is doing really good about that.
Yeah.
It doesn't punish you super hard for overpaying, but it still just feels bad. And
Yeah, it's almost like an OCD thing for me.
yeah,
too.
like the
I
overpay
don't
feels
wanna
really
pay
bad. You never
4
want to
for
overpay
3.
for things.
But
which-
even if it's netting you a card in return, I still don't want to pay it.
Well, when you pay 4 for a 3, it just says you paid 1 for the 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it gets you the card back.
If it gets you the card back, you just paid 1.
In
you
terms
get
of
2
CP,
but I
CP
know
back.
the actual value of my cards, James,
Yeah.
which is 2.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
you
still
spent
paid.
4 for a 3 drop. So you overspent 1, but you got 2 back. So you technically spent 1 less.
but I wasted 1. I don't want to waste anything.
You didn't waste 1. It gave you that 1.
I did. I wasted the 1 CP, James.
But you get it back.
Barely.
If you actively do it, you didn't waste anything. You made the choice.
Okay, hold on, because now this is something that I find a little interesting. Then, do you think it's a good thing that Final Fantasy doesn't allow you to roll over CP for that turn? So like if you spent 4 to pay a 3 cost, that extra
Yes.
CP.
I think 100% yes.
Okay, good.
Because that would just be stupid.
Because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna hold on. Well, so let's say theoretically it held on to that 1 for the next card you played. Would it still matter a lot?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay,
no,
good.
like not as much.
So,
'cause
like-
you still have the CP to use.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
rolls
that's
over.
for the turn.
Next turn. No,
For the same turn.
Yeah, for the same turn.
if I take it, I tap 2 red.
Oh, here we go.
I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. If I tap 2 red mana and play a 1 mana cost dude, I have a 1 floating red mana. And so if I destroy the tapped mountain in order to play something else, I still have that mountain.
I see. I think that's
like
that's a good thing, but I honestly don't think it's good for
It's
Final
not good
Fantasy
for Final
because
Fantasy,
it makes
no.
it different than other.
So
card
what
games.
it changes it into is, I'll pay 4 for this 3 drop. I have 1 left over. I'll pick up 2 more. Cool. I'll drop 1 card, 2 card. Use the 1 left over. Play a 5 drop.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just like, I only paid 2 for that.
Yeah.
I paid 1 card to actually do that. Because you played your other dude for that 1 cost, and I only played 1 card to play this 5 drop. It makes
Yeah.
math on things so easy to do.
Oh yeah.
Because you're like, oh, I'll drop a 3 drop back if this is pick up a new dude. I have 1 left over too. Cool. Drop the card I just picked up. Drop 1 extra card from hand. Use the leftover 1. Drop this 5 drop. This 5 drop says do cool thing. I'll do cool thing. Yeah, more cards in
it
hand.
doesn't
Ooh.
punish you for doing things like that. Like it just. That's why I as much as I hate having
The OCD, as much as the OCD gets to you.
As much as I hate not using all my CP, I think it's
Sometimes
good.
you have to.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to
You have
because
to
if
let it
not, you're
drop.
gonna lose.
Because I do agree. I just wanted to bring this up and see
It's-
what you guys thought about
It's
it.
actually what we were debating. We actually debated on this when we were building the current build I have for the WAF deck. Whether or not we play the 2 CP LAN.
Yeah.
The one that gets a 4K buff to like a monster or whatever
Yeah.
and whatnot. Or we play the 3 CP drop that's a 7K that says it can't be blocked by anything less than it or more than or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's debate between which one do I want to play. Because like the 3 CP one, in my opinion, is way better than 2 drop. But I can't just drop 1 card out of my hand and play a 2 drop for free.
Yeah.
Like
I
that
mean,
was...
the 2 drop nets you a bit more value though because the deck is supposed to operate.
Here's
around...
the thing though.
Fucking
hold
what of
on.
a match.
Hold on.
The 3 drop says it attacks basically for free.
Because you can't. It can't.
It can't be...
Blocked.
It's like
It
blocked.
can't block anything
Tam,
greater than
Tam, you're up.
FF decks.
3 CP LAN. LANN.
NN. It's a fire card, if that helps you.
You're... Yeah.
All right,
That
all the way
far
on the-
right.
Yep.
Thank you. So land cannot be blocked by a forward with a power greater than his. Land cannot block a forward with a power greater than his.
So 7K. So anything more than 7K can't block him.
Or if you bump him up too, like it's just even bigger.
Yeah, like
Yeah, at that point he actually is just free swing. But you're not
is there any cards right now under I'm this is me deck building while we're having this podcast. Is there any cards in Earth and Fire that debuff your dude to do cool thing?
Not that I can think on the top
Like
of my head.
No.
neg
just play Carbuncle.
neg 2000 to do X thing? Well, it'd be really cool. Nothing with graded power can block this. I'll reduce it by like 4K. Anything with more than 3000 can't block me.
Yeah,
Oh, cool. All your dudes are like 4K?
that'd
Swing
be
it in.
super
I
spicy.
mean, that's why Shamazi is a thing. Because Shamaji
That's actually the reason I wanted Carbuncle, because Carbuncle was just like, I'll play this card. Oh, did my dude get so big? Cool. I'll draw a card and add Carbuncle back to hand.
Yeah.
That was the reason I went. I was just like, I'll make my dudes bigger, get an asset back to hand, draw an extra card, replace itself. Seems sick. And especially when like land gets Harun gets like to like 10K or whatever. You got Rain that gets to 8K. You get all these dudes that just get bigger. It's just like, sure, I'll make them big enough to draw a card, add Carbuncle to hand, whatever.
See, so since we're on the topic of your WAF deck, right? Real quick before we get to
Before we get to our third
our
topic.
spicy third topic, I think you want to play the 2 drop, only because not only is the 2 drop
Because of rain.
play 1 and
Drop it for rain.
grab a thing, But Rain also gives that boy 2K to make him a 7K first striker, and on play he also gives your Frit. Your Frit becomes a 9K brave monster.
Yeah. Like that was the debate. Was just like, well, like my
because it's easy
land
to
becomes a
play.
9K first strike.
Yeah.
Can't be blocked by anything with greater than 9K. I
That
guess.
one doesn't though.
No.
Because he doesn't gain the power
It's,
from Rain.
so we'll talk about this later. I have a different copy of this card that's not this art.
Oh, I have one for Rem too for cadets. Yeah.
That's
the
not
thing.
this art. That's this card.
Yeah, it's a promo.
Yeah, that's how they do things.
You sure it's a promo? It doesn't say promo on it.
I mean, maybe that one's the promo.
No, this is not. This is from the actual set.
Hey, stop.
This is from
letting
set
me-
1.
I'm trying to mess with his mind.
Oh shoot.
The one I have says set 1 too, and
James,
I'm so confused.
I said
by-
nothing.
He said no.
This is not the land you're looking for.
But yeah, so
So like we'll talk about it later. I have it upstairs.
even up to 3 or past 3,
Yeah.
essentially is good. I think 5. I think 5's the max personally. I think you can play up to 5 and be fine. Like I'm down pitching 6 for Barrett because
5 CP cost, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah,
5
yeah.
CP
We jump back into evens
Sorry.
and odds.
Yeah, just want to make sure we all know.
I
what
think
we're
Barrett
talking
will
about.
just net you the cards you need.
It depends on the
usually
5
if
drop.
you-
Depends
it
on the
does,
5 drop.
That's fair.
Because like some 5 drops, just in my opinion. are just
I
not worth
mean,
it.
you can go a lot of 5 drops that are currently being played if they're played with their support
Like
properly.
the correct cards. Yeah.
Net you the value you need, so that extra CP you're pitching to play is fine. I think evens up to 5 or evens past 5 is great. I think up to 5 it's kind of okay if you lose that extra CP because usually your 5 drops will net you some sort of value that's worth it for either that turn to survive or to progress your board. That's the name of the game is to just progress your board.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like
Board
that's how it
state
works.
matters.
Board state heavily matters in this game.
Board state determines what if your opponent draws is good enough or not. So
Moving on to our third.
to an ad break,
Yeah, that's right. We got an ad break. He cut me off. What? No, I'm just kidding.
the reads.
Cards Custom Builds. Are you into cosplay? Looking to get into cosplay? Do you want to show up to events dressed as your favorite character? Well, then Cards Custom Build can help. Cards Custom Build creates everything from cosplay accessories like props, trinkets, or weaponry, all the way up to full-blown costumes. Do you want to make a perfectly flowing cloth, or maybe want rigid battle armor? Cards Custom Build has you covered. The work is guaranteed to make you the talk of the con. So go over to Cards Custom Build on either Facebook or on their Etsy account. Links will be in the description down below. And make sure you mention TCG University to get 5% off your entire order. We're also sponsored by InkedGaming.com. Are you looking to get a custom playmat? Well, then we suggest you check out InkedGaming.com. They have custom playmats, dice bags, mouse pads, and so much more. They even recently added a stitch option to their playmat and mouse pads as well. Stop those frayed edges from happening. Inked Gaming lets you play your game with your style. And if you want to get 10% off of your entire order, use the code TCG University, all caps, no spaces at checkout, and help support us by customizing your game to your style. And lastly, the show is brought to you by Dex Protection. Dex Protection is on a never-ending pursuit to create the highest quality storage and protection accessories. Their design and innovation comes from die-hard gamers and collectors just like you. They're constantly taking in feedback from their customers, and they have no plans to stop their innovations or their drive to refine the products until they're recognized as a leader in their industry. They make terrific products, all with the avid gamer and collector in mind. So go ahead and check them out. The link will be in the description down below.
Hope you guys enjoyed the ad break. Moving on to our third topic now. Gotta raise the pinky, you know?
Yeah, you gotta read.
Moving on to our third topic is the gentleman's rule. So, we all live in America. I don't think we play by a gentleman's rule from what I've heard. I've heard that JP does have one where usually they play up to, it's an unspoken thing.
Supposedly. You guys
Supposedly.
can correct us.
Allegedly.
You guys
Please
can correct us if we're wrong.
They play up
Mostly
to-
Noah.
I haven't heard anything. I'm hearing this right now on this podcast.
Here you go, James. So they play up to 5 backups.
Yeah,
and
I
then they start
got
swinging
the
face.
basic description. I meant like I'm not the one coming out with this information. Like, yeah, this is
all
what's happening.
Noah.
It's all me. This is just what I've heard.
Right.
But
Hey,
it does
you know,
bring
some
up an
games
interesting
have
question.
gentlemen's agreements. Like it just
Yeah.
happens.
Momo's like that. Shout out to that boy. When
He lives on playing 5 backups.
he does.
Though.
He plays 5 backups before he does
5
anything
backups,
else.
6 damage. It's his home.
It is. Little
Does he play
nest he
Banford?
makes.
He used to. He's actually
It's
the one.
really easy to sit at 6 with Bamford on board. Oh, you're attacking me? Pop 2 dudes. Get out of here.
Get out of here.
Don't come at me like that.
Sorry,
But
go
yeah,
ahead.
so do you think? I guess what's your opinion on a gentleman's rule?
Did
first
you explain it?
off? I definitely did. I'll re-explain it.
Yeah, please.
Re-explain it.
For this game, what I know of a gentleman's rule is usually both parties will agree to a certain point where they decide to actually start pumping out damage and attacking each other. So it's a lot of build up before that.
Do they build
Off
just backups or backups and
I'm
forwards?
assuming it's backups and forwards, but they don't start attacking until their board state is there.
Essentially.
Which seems, I mean, it's interesting to say the least, because it offers that ability to see your board at its like max potential, you know. But what do you think, Byron?
So-
That point is just not as cool.
I don't know exactly on if this is actually something that happens overseas, non-NA meta, but I would assume that they don't put forwards out because it's essentially let's get to 5 backups so then we can actually play the game.
Yeah, it's more of like if you put forwards out, you're like,
there's
imagine like everyone's working off that rule and somebody just goes,
Yeah.
I'll drop Barrett like turn 1 because nobody's going to attack me till
Exactly.
I build 5. And I'll just
Yeah.
sit here and just mill through my deck.
Yeah, so I don't.
Or
I would
Cloud,
assume.
just like-
If it is like a gentleman's thing and non-NA meta, then it's all right. Let's get back to 5 backups, and we can start playing the game.
Imagine getting to just birthing pod cloud that entire idea during Gentlemen. No, please.
But I don't like it. Just because I don't like waiting sometimes.
You're impatient.
I'm impatient sometimes, and that's weird because I think I play better as more of a control player or very like reactive player.
You're allowed to play differently between
Yeah.
card games though.
I always tend to
Play those tile
play
decks.
something better than others. So like I don't think I'm a good aggressive player, aggro player. I'd like to play it because I'm old and I
Man,
don't have time for that.
I feel like your
Anybody has time for that?
I feel like your Viking deck is a very aggressive deck.
It
feels very controlling.
It's
It's
controlling
only,
reactive.
aggressive after he's taken
I just feel like
control.
he's
Yeah.
dropping a bunch of dudes and swinging with a bunch of dudes.
But it's also very reactive because I'm playing the
'cause you have
fanfrits. Yeah. It's like I need you to do things so I can do things to you back.
yeah.
So I don't know.
Yes.
I don't like it as, if it's like a gentleman's thing, I don't like it. Just because I want to start playing cards and being able to attack you and do stuff. So
I think gentlemen's agreements are cool in games. I don't know if it's like it depends on like the setting because like sometimes gentlemen's agreements are just like cool. Let's see how like we were saying, just drop a bunch of cool. Let's see at the max our deck can output. Like what's the coolest thing we can do with our deck at max? I think that's really cool. If like you just watch 2 decks, just like cool, everything's set up. We're going max high speed right now. How's this gonna work? I think that's really cool. That's coming more from the guy who likes to just know how everything could work. Just like what's the coolest thing I could do in this fucking deck? What's the coolest thing this interaction has right now? I don't care if it's the dumbest thing. What's the coolest thing I can do right now? Like, is this the good move? Hell no. But it's flashy. And if it works, ooh baby. Ooh baby.
It's hard to be flashy in a card game. If for those that don't follow the game heavily,
Yeah.
so
Like showing off flash is really hard for like card games because it's more of a information based game,
it
whereas like if you look at like fighting games, it's more of like showing things. You don't see the inputs.
the ultra.
You don't see the inputs go in. You see, oh, this dude just did this cool twirly thing. It's like, fuck this dude up. It's just like
Ken short
yeah.
you repo, dude. Like
Like it just looks real cool, and you're just like, yeah, this is really cool and exciting. And then you just watch, like, if I'm gonna use Universe as a reference, you played this attack, it did this really cool thing, and somebody's just watching that doesn't know what's going on. It's just like, I mean, you put a card on the board. Like what? Why is that really cool? Somebody drops some really cool thing, and everyone that plays the game is like, oh, that's really sick. This is more coming like a spectator sport, but it's just like that's really sick. And somebody not looking at the game is just like, what? Like, what do you do?
I think like in terms of like local tournaments and like high level tournaments, obviously a gentleman's role isn't worth it. I'm a big advocate against it when it comes to that, and not just because like that's my standpoint. My deck is an advocate against that. Like I play dudes and swing as soon as possible. I play hasters. I feel like if you're gonna play a haste deck, it's kind of important that like
You haste.
you
You go at them with haste.
use the keyword efficiently. I thoroughly, for some reason, enjoy the slight struggle you can have building your board out and seeing who can build their board the best, the fastest. Because by that point, whoever builds the best board the quick in
I think
the
haste
fastest
decks
time.
might actually just be the best thing if we do gentleman's rule. Think about it.
I mean,
I
yeah.
get to build all the way to my 5, and then I just play. Think about just like a waft deck that just gets to build up and then go bop, 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 bop. All my dudes have haste.
Yeah,
Could you deal with it? This is the first turn anybody's going to get to attack.
Yeah.
Could you deal with it?
All your dudes are gone now. Like,
Ugh.
that's the important thing. I think it's an interesting thing. Like, it's nice if both parties agree to it. The only issue I have is that it can set in. It puts somebody in a mindset of either defensive or aggressive play, depending if they accept the rule or not. If you don't accept the rule, you're usually put into a mindset of aggressive play. If you accept it, you're usually put into a defensive play mindset, because from then on, you're going to want to always build your 5 so you have something you can do that's efficient, quote unquote.
Or depending on like how, like if you're used to doing this like often, like if JP does do this a lot, they're more of thinking of like allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Please correct us if we're wrong.
I saw you flinch. I went allegedly.
Which they will.
If you do this a lot, you would just start at the standpoint of, well, the game doesn't start at turn 1 when we're dropping things. Game starts at turn 5. You stop thinking about aggression defensive as your first 5 turns. You start thinking of aggression defensive as your 5 and later, after you play all 5 dudes.
But then,
Because your game doesn't start there. Then you start thinking of does my game plan change? Do I just go aggressive all the time or defensive all the time? How does the deck still want to play?
but what happens when you don't draw backups?
That's why I'm like,
Yeah,
does the gentleman's rule?
So it
Where does it end? Like, if you don't draw back, I'm just like, we're gonna have to wait another turn.
well, I mean,
Or do you just
Hold your hand, discard down to 5. Just wait a couple turns. Let's see how this goes.
or do you attack him and go, I drew no backups, and he has to think, is he breaking the gentleman's or did he draw no backups?
let me see your hand.
Mind games.
Well, like, I think if you go in considering that, like, if that's something that people play with, then your deck is built around it as well. Which
They're probably
changes.
maybe if it is, they're probably playing more backups.
Yeah,
well,
I don't know what their decks look like.
like you
but,
can increase the backup number by like 2, and you'll
2 to
probably
3,
see them
yeah.
every time you draw.
I mean, you get an idea of it whenever you watch Worlds for Final Fantasy. Because
I have not yet.
I know you haven't. We've talked about it like it was like the first podcast. We kind of
I think it was
talked
like the
vaguely about it.
second one.
First or second one.
Yeah.
Either way. Like, I mean, their play style is just different. And like that's the thing. Like region to region, play styles are just different. Like I think North America, NA is pretty aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I think
in general, like,
it
not-
wasn't any card game.
yeah, I say in this card
It's-
game and in a few others, like North America is generally a pretty aggressive play style.
It's real weird how much I 100% agree with that. Just watching Weiss Schwartz.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, Weiss Schwartz is really weird because, like, in my opinion, just from, like, watching it, everything up till, like, this last year has been nothing but what's the most aggressive thing I can play? Like, starting out from, like, when I played was just, like, here's this Silica deck that just biggest dude you can play on board, most damage you can do every single turn. And then you have, like, the other Sword Art decks were just, like, here's my cool combo pieces, drop, pound you for 4, still swinging it with my normal dude, which is, like, 2 or whatever. And then that's really cool, and it's just aggressive hand style stuff. And then, like, you're swinging, trying to deal damage. And then, like, right now our meta is, like, I have this dude that nags your damage for the next turn. This dude nags your damage for the next turn. This dude's going to nag your damage. I'm going to hit. This is, like, super defensive right now. But, like, up to this point, in my opinion, has, like, been super aggressive.
And I think, like you said, I think that's very true for like most card games, like North America.
Stateside,
I think,
basically.
yeah, I think it's just everyone. I think likes to play a little bit faster here, and for JP, I think maybe not necessarily just JP. I think other regions that's not North America, I think kind of value playing backups a little bit more. And I'm not saying everyone in North America doesn't value backups.
I mean, we
because
know
we have
Momo
Momo.
does. Like,
Yeah, he loves to play backups.
yeah.
But I think they definitely value the backups more just because they see it as you're gaining resources later on.
Wonder if we asked them if odds or evens is better, what would they say?
That'd be interesting. Let's get some of them people on here
Right.
if we know any.
Like, if they're trying to build the 5.
Find a Discord community. I got
Yeah.
you.
All right.
Don't know why I haven't yet. Too busy with other Discord chats. I don't know.
There's a lot.
But yeah, no, like that's a very valid point. It does change region to region, and I just as it comes to the gentleman's rule itself, I don't, and I'm pretty sure multiple people agree on this. There are people that can disagree. That's fine. I don't think it should ever see like tournament play.
Competitive play, yeah.
Like it should never actually be a rule in competitive. It can be an unspoken rule between like people that
Players,
play.
yeah.
Like,
But like
between
if it's an
players and
unspoken
stuff.
rule for competitive, it's going to be real rough when people play non-stateside to stateside or whatever, and just
Yeah.
back and forth of just like America's not going to give a fuck.
Because I remember,
Like America's going to go, what are you trying to do there, dude? Swing.
I mean,
Like
yeah,
cars.
I play what three different card games currently.
Weak.
Right.
Weak.
Sorry, 4 because Weiss counts, and like they're all just super
Still
aggressive
weak.
here. And like,
Talk to us
for
when you get to
instance,
8.
to use UFS as an example, I remember watching the UK Nats,
You can answer.
and it seemed like
It's like even like UK to US is just very different.
we seemed way more.
I don't know if it's like
in
community based or like
That's fair.
like
Because
just
it is
because I know like the
community
UK, it's harder for them to get around because like for whatever reason, I think their locations are very more spread out than ours are.
That is true.
'Cause,
They
like-
get around a lot though, even with spread out locations. Like I'm not gonna lie, I think
Oh, yeah,
people in UK travel more than
They're
people
willing
in
to
US
travel
state
for
to
stuff.
state.
Yeah, they're willing to travel. It's just really, it's really weird how just like slightly different. Like even like locations in the US are just slightly different. Like let me use UFS again as like an example, but like, Atlanta for like the last few years has been known as the most aggressive play group in the entire country. Just like they're coming to just drop their entire deck on the table and go, I'm going to win this game. Like I'm playing as hard and as fast as possible.
Did you say dick or deck?
Deck.
Okay.
Deck.
Just
I said
wanna make
deck.
I mean, both
Just wanna
ma-
clarify.
both
both
matter.
is fine. It's the same
Like,
thing. At this point, they just
We've
kinda
all
like,
we've all
well,
met Phil Birch, Ben Shoemaker, Keenan Meadows. Like
In more than one ways.
we've met those guys.
I
Like
got birched.
but, like they're just super aggressive, and like other playgroups just aren't like that. There are certain players that are like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to do this cool combo. We're just gonna get right in there. Then other players just like, let's not.
I
Like,
mean, if you wanna zone it in more, actually, because the Omaha play group's pretty aggressive. Like
Yeah, I think-
the more competitive players are a lot more aggressive, obviously.
I think it's just I think
And-
that's more of like a fit for like the meta currently though,
Yeah.
more than the player like the players.
But like
itself.
you take players from like KC, for instance, and I don't interact with them too much, but like from what I've seen, they're not as heavy on the aggression as we are. And if they are, their decks are made for like burn out of gas as soon as possible type of decks.
So let's bring this back to Final Fantasy. And what do you think about the local meta then?
So
for us.
this is good that you bring this up.
since you're the one
because
who's went to locals.
we talked about this earlier. Because I've been playing with you and Travis, my deck, and you guys just play water and ice consistently. My
our
decks the Turks deck is built to be
too.
aggressive
I don't
and,
play it
and
well, but-
stable as much as possible. So like if I lose a dude, I can still replace it with more dudes easily and stuff like that. So when I went to our local meta and I was like looking around and watching all the other decks be played, I was like, I was watching Kevin Good play. I want to say it was Mono Fire Samurais, and like it's a cool deck concept. He had like 3 forwards out consistently at a time. Well, 2 consistently, 3 on occasion, with like Iroha being out and whatnot, and your opponent wants to get rid of her, and like 2 backups from what I could see while watching the game. And it just like it seemed like it was slower than what we play in testing, because by that point in the game, my board would have 4 dudes and probably 3 backups, and I'd be in like essentially a complete board state by that point. I'd be able to defend and attack as easily as I need to be. I'd put my opponent at a point where they don't want to attack me because they're afraid of pushing a button, as James has stated.
Pushing buttons is scary sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Just think back to the Cold War.
Valid point. But yeah, like, I also haven't been able to go out to the local meta too much.
Neither have I.
The more I go out, the more I'll start seeing how our meta is and how it's changed and whatnot. Zeph plays Mono Lightning. That deck's always going to be pretty aggressive. Travis is Travis. We'll just make him Psy heavy.
He plays meta.
Yeah, Travis just plays meta. He's trying to get me in, he did his best to get me into the mindset to play meta. I like WoF, but I don't want to keep playing WoF because it's kind of boring. Turks is a lot more interesting in my opinion because there's so many different play
Cast some
routes.
stuff from your WoF deck.
Maybe.
I still need.
I still want a complete deck, but just in case I need to like.
do you need 3 of the Brandalus?
Yes.
Bro,
Sorry.
we only play 2 in your deck. Don't.
I know. I
don't
want a
play
third.
more than 3.
I want a third.
Don't play more than 3.
Don't play more than 2.
3 is the max in this
Don't
game.
play. Yeah, James. Don't be a cheater. All right.
Hey, I cheat in every card game I play currently. Apparently,
Yeah,
I
you
can't
get
stop.
called out so much.
I
in your
can't.
games.
Like I don't get it. I can't stop. Like no matter what, I'm like fucking up, and I don't know how to fucking read cards. I'm cheating by not reading a card correctly and playing it wrong, or for whatever fucking reason. People just don't like it when I don't play abilities. Like it's my fault because I chose in a situation I thought, "Oh, I just don't want to do this right now. It's not a good decision to me. And then I get roasted for that. Like hashtag
Shantono.
James sucks. Buy my
Hashtag
merch.
James sucks. Great plug. Great plug.
It's the plug. It's the reason this shirt exists.
Okay. So you've more than likely been to more locals for this game than I
Yeah.
have.
No.
Over the time that you've played, how do you think have things like gotten aggressive and slowed down? Have they been slow consistently?
I think there's periods where people kind of like play a little bit more aggressive in our meta, but I think overall I'd say it's a little bit slower than how I think the rest of NA is.
That's fair.
And obviously I haven't traveled for Final Fantasy yet. This was gonna be the year, but it's not anymore.
It was gonna be the
It
year.
was gonna be the year, but
I was gonna play a real deck.
Yeah, you were.
I mean, I still have a real deck, but I mean, like, I was gonna play.
Yeah, but just from my perception, I think that Omaha locals are definitely a little bit slower paced, and I don't know if that is dependent on the skill level, which sounds kind of bad to say, but obviously I think there's other areas in North America that are more seasoned.
I didn't want to say it because I don't go to locals, but I was gonna say, do you think it's a product of like how they're playing and how they're play testing? Like, because I know
yeah.
Kevin Good, he plays UFS too.
Mhm.
Like, I know he's very good at that game. Like, and you said like you felt like when you were looking at this point you'd be super ahead. Do you think it's just like the people he plays against of like maybe our meta just right now where we are right now isn't as competitive? It's like the people he's playing
Yeah.
against isn't like.
We are heavily competitive recently.
I meant like
certain people.
I mean,
mean,
like
like-
you, me, and Travis have
Yeah,
been picking
yeah.
it up.
No,
a
I
lot
just
more,
meant like more as
especially-
like not like us community like playtesting
Yeah.
here, but like this like Omaha as a general like
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
is like the level of competitive not high enough to where like people show up to locals and like, oh, I got this really cool deck, I think it's really good, and then they play against people who just aren't as good as them like as card game players, and then they win, they feel like they win handedly, and it's just like, oh, this deck works the way I want it to, it's really really cool, and then like you'll look at it just like, well, I feel like I would have already been super ahead at this point. Maybe they're just not getting that play testing where like you are right
They
now, where
figure
you're
out
playing
all their
against.
plays and stuff. Yeah.
Where like where's their max ability? Where are they falling behind? What needs to be picked up? And they're playing against people just who aren't good enough, and they just don't. They're not pushing that envelope or pushing those buttons to produce those holes in their plot.
And that's
yeah, like
exactly it.
we're not saying anybody's.
We're
bad
not
at
saying these
this.
people are
Not at
actually
all.
bad. It's just
No.
more of like, where do we
It's
stand
the
as like a
difference
meta?
in skill levels between people and the difference in meta
Yeah.
that people.
Yeah,
play.
Yeah.
like, is it producing gaps for like people who like I said, I know Kevin Good. He plays UFS. Like, I know he's really good at card games, but like you said, you would have already been ahead at that point. Like, is it just the people he's playing against producing not enough, like more of like a challenge to where he doesn't realize he's behind at that point, or is it just he wants to play that deck, or like
Yeah.
is it like where's the gap for that?
It all comes to like how you play the deck, how well you know the deck, and stuff like that. I also think Omaha has gotten a lot more people into playing Final Fantasy recently over the last few months too. So I could say it's like as myself, like when I start playing a game, I play a lot slower. Not like slow play, but it's adapting to the game.
You are
figuring out
pretty
how you wanna
slow.
Play and,
Yeah, you play really slow.
I think that not enough of our
controlling.
Oh, I was just
group-
being like when you play cards, just like
Oh.
you think a very long time sometimes.
I do.
I think that not enough people of our play group has had that competitive experience. I think a lot of them are newcomers to card games, maybe. Not a lot of them, but there are some in our community that
Or more
are
like competitive
newcomers.
card games.
Yeah,
more of
more
a sense.
competitive
Not
card
like
games.
I've played
They're
a Yu-Gi-Oh.
casual
I played
players, yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh with my friends at home.
Yeah.
I played Pokemon or whatever.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
haven't like I go to events. I go to this. I used to go to events for Yu-Gi-Oh. I used to go to events for Pokemon, stuff like that. They don't have that competitive sense.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't think that we have a lot of seasoned competitive players in our community compared to other games like
That's fair.
UFS. We have two of the best players in the game
Currently.
in Omaha.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
a lot of really good
Yeah.
players
we
in that
do.
game right now currently in Omaha.
Yeah, so like it's stacked in that card game in UFS.
which
But Final Fantasy, we don't have that many people that actually have traveled enough.
This year we got more.
keep going because this that brought up an interesting point. Then, see, do you think, like for UFS's instance, since we have a lot of solid players that are like high ranking in the game, high skill, let's move that on for like any card game in Final Fantasy 2 as well. Do you think that the higher skill ceiling of the better players will like deter or impact the people that are like getting into the game or like just starting to?
I think that depends on
Who the player
who the
is.
people are. Who the people are.
Who each player is. Like
Who-
both ends
yeah.
of that cap.
I think if depending on who the top tier players are, I think depending on who the top tier players are, it
You. The vibrate. He was saying
Oh.
like it vibrated.
Oh,
anyways.
You could hear the
sorry.
vibration.
Getting
Sorry.
distracted here. I think depending on who the top players are, if they're teachers in a way, I think that it shouldn't deter anyone from coming into a card game. But if they're dicks per se, then it's definitely gonna stray people away from trying to play this card game. So I think
It also kind of depends on like the player like they're playing against too,
Yeah,
because like some
yeah.
people get really defeated just by losing one game, even if they're new at things. Like they just losing is just not an option for them.
Yeah.
Even if it's like I expect to lose. I'm new at this game. I'm
Yeah.
playing this guy who's probably been playing for like months. I'm going to lose at this game, and they'll lose and they'll still they'll still be very defeated.
like, they
just
get
like
in their head for
I just
it.
don't want to play this. This is so lame. Why?
And I
Why is
think-
he so much better than me? Blah 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 blah.
And I think that's where it comes into play, like if you're like a teacher kind of person, because like if you can tell like how someone's gonna learn the best, and just kind of be able to tell if they lose they're gonna not play again kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you'll be able to figure out the way to actually retain those people in the card game.
I agree with that. I think you can also put in shoutouts to an old video, player mentality in that, as in like,
Hey.
Yeah.
because I find that if I get my ass handed to me, I'm gonna try to want to do better.
Coming for that booty.
Yeah, so I could like be a clap back. I'm coming.
Yeah.
Like I wanna prove that like I'm not just some dude that you can easily just be like tournament fodder, because people will think like that. I want to be able to pose a challenge for people, and not just for the general progress the game, make the meta better and everybody else better, but like just to prove to myself that like I'm able to do that and I can hold my own in the game. It took me a while to do that, but I finally got there. So I think it does hardcore come down to that.
I'll
That was
get
just a side tangent that like, I
I'll
thought was
get there.
interesting.
Don't you worry, Noah.
We'll get you there, James. Don't
I'm
worry.
coming for you.
We'll find you a deck. I think you just find like
I'm liking Waff, but I don't know if it's gonna be the deck I stay with the entire time. We'll see.
Waff goes burr.
Waff does go burr.
I felt it. Just once though.
Just once. We'll figure it out. We'll make you felt his deck go burr. I need to build my deck to go burr.
Yeah. So that wraps up our three main topics. If you guys want, we can always just move right into our post show for all
Any
of our
final
cool
thoughts,
subscribers.
though? Any final thoughts?
I don't like gentleman's rule.
That's fair. That was real clear cut. Anything else you want to add?
Nope. That's it.
Lit. What about you, James?
Gentleman's rule's cool. Sometimes.
I think.
Indecisive.
I mean, I think the game deserves to have the draw two mechanic.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they put that in. That was a really smart choice. I think we covered the evens and odds just enough to get the point across. And yeah, gentleman's rule is just really weird.
Yeah.
It should never be an official rule. I'm fine with it being a rule between two players that sit down and play a game.
A casual rule.
Yeah, like a casual rule. Other than that, I don't really think you want to move too far with it.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. We're gonna move on to the post show for all of our awesome Patreon supporters. So make sure you support us on Patreon.
Thank you, Oliver.
See you guys
Oh,
next
yeah.
time.
Thanks, Oliver.
See you guys.
Usually the one watching.
See you guys next time. Stay learned.
Peace.
See ya.
Instant transmission.